So, good evening once again. Welcome to the day 47th of our UGC-NET Paper I class. In today's class, we are continuing with the previous class of Unit-2. In today's topic, we will see about positivism and post-positivistic approach to research, then experimental method of research. So, these are the things. So first, positivism approach to research. So actually, positivism and post-positivism, which are the two different, how best to say, not just philosophical approach, but it is also a social science inquiry. So what they are saying here, see the second stanza. In positivism, it suggests that knowledge should be acquired on the basis of observable phenomena and empirical evidence for a scientific approach, which indirectly owing its importance to objectivity and measurable data. So a philosophical doctrine which claims knowledge should be founded on observable and measurable phenomena depending centrally on the scientific method. இப்போ உதாரணத்துக்கு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா சூரியன் கிழக்கில் உதிக்கிறது அப்படின்றது ஒரு ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட்னா நம்மளால that statement could be verified by any person, that is the sun is rising from the east. So such observable and verifiable approach is the base of positivism. So a positivist theory claims that careful observation and experimental procedures will reveal universal laws as well as truths. Then comes metaphysical and subjective interpretations are usually expressed and therefore held unreliable. So the things which cannot be observed by every person could be omitted from the positivistic approach. So there are certain characteristics for this positivism approach. First is it is objective and neutral, no bias is there. Then based on facts and evidence only. Without any proper evidence or fact, it is not being properly approached. Then uses experiments and tests. Then seeks general rules. Lastly, can be checked and repeated. So the example I have given, no, sun rises from the east. This could be checked by any person throughout the world and also could be repeated many times. So these are the characteristics of positivism approach. Now, research process under positivism approach. So see here, under this particular positivism approach, the research process follows a quantitative and deductive approach. So how here in the previous classes we have seen about what is quantitative and qualitative. So here they are approaching the process is following the quantitative approach. So it involves beginning with a theory. So like the same example I am giving again, sun rises from the east, that is a theory. So then developing hypothesis from that theory. So what I am developing is that earth is rotating from west to east. Then other things, sun is at a certain distance, all these things I am developing the hypothesis. Then now I am collecting and analyzing the data to test those hypotheses. If the particular hypothesis that is developed doesn't confirm the theory, then they are reframed. So this particular thing concept now we are using in our day-to-day our own PhD research process. So there are certain criticisms for this approach. First is denial of the presence of human emotions. Since it is more of an objective type, this particularly omits or denies the presence of any kind of emotions. So we cannot assess the human behavior in this kind of approach. So a major shortcoming of the positivism is the claim to certainty, that is claiming the scientific knowledge is purely objective, valid, certain and accurate. So here they are describing any phenomenon objectively only, not subjectively. So these are the criticisms of positivism approach. Now moving on to the post-positivistic approach to research. So post-positivism recognizes the phenomenon of complexities in knowledge acquisition and generally speaking explains how even though there is indeed an objective reality, our interpretations of it are so heavily influenced by context, bias and subject. Simply சொல்லணும்னா நம்மளுக்கு ஒரு விஷயத்துல ப்ராப்பர் டேட்டா இருந்து we are observing or getting something, then also this particular approach understands the other omitted or neglected factors and they take or consider all those factors into analyzing the or coming up with the conclusion of the final thing. So this transition from positivism to post-positivism is overall an awareness of the necessity of both empirical and non-empirical approaches that acknowledge a limitation. So what they are saying is post-positivism comes up as the response based on the shortcomings of the positivist approach. So objective reality certainly exists, but our interpretation of it is socially, culturally and contextually mediated. So the sun rising from the east, that example, no, actually if I'm not wrong, throughout the country, India, I think at certain period of month the sun will rise at a certain direction, or that is, it will move from south to north, then north to south, like that. So but this cannot be applied to all the countries, I think. I'm not exactly sure still, but this is based on our own understanding or our own reality. So here our interpretation of it is socially, culturally and contextually mediated. So like the term Uttara Nakshatram or Uttara Kirtigai, so those terms denote the position of the solar, that is the sun, in the particular period of the month. So it is because of this we have certain objective as well as subjective opinion of that particular sunrise. So it thus has the tendency for a looser methodology, qualitative research and consideration of critical reflection and multiple perspectives in achieving knowledge. So only when you have multiple perspectives about a subject matter, then only you can confine or form a whole set of picture. So here also there are certain characteristics for that. So here belief that truth can be approached but not fully known. So like I said, no, you can form the that visual structure of any subjective content, still you cannot fully 100% you can form that. So here they use both numbers and words, so mixed methods. Then believe that people have bias, but their science experiment, they what they are assuming at the end of the experiment or at the end of the observation, they don't consider the factor of bias. Then application of theories to direct research, and then practice careful testing and observation. Lastly, willing to change ideas based on new information. So that is how post-positivistic approach is working, and that is also should how our research should be. So next, research process under post-positivistic approach. So under post-positivism, the research process follows a qualitative and inductive approach. They are qualitative and deductive approach. See here. So quantitative, sorry. There it follows a quantitative and deductive, but here it follows the qualitative and inductive approach. So it involves beginning with the specific observations and measures, detecting the patterns and regularities, formulating tentative hypotheses that we can explore, and finally developing general conclusions or theories. So here you are moving towards forming a theory. in the post-positivistic approach. But in the positivistic approach, you are moving based on a theory. That is, already theory is that you are working out to find out the cause and effect like that. So these are the research process. Now here also there are certain criticisms are there. So this questions the objectivity of the research. Then it believes that all scientific methods are subject to some error. So that particular criticism is not acceptable by the science people who use the positivistic approach. So that is the criticism here. Now we are moving on to the methods of research. So methods of research, what are those? We have already seen all these things in the previous class itself. Still, since we have a topic on this, I am just sticking with the whatever it is given in the syllabus topic. So first in today's class we will see about experimental. So what is experimental method of research? So it is a quantitative research method that investigates cause and effect relationships by manipulating one or more independent variables and observing the effects on dependent variables under controlled conditions. Here, it is the most scientifically rigorous method of hypothesis testing available in the research. So what is the goal of this method? It aims to establish the cause and effect relationships by manipulating the independent variables. So by manipulating this, they are observing the effects of the dependent variables under controlled conditions. So what is the methodology? Experiments involve the random assignment of participants to different experimental conditions and the systematic manipulation of variables. Now, what are the characteristics? In this method, since it is experimental, you are manipulating certain variables, that is definite. Then you are in control of the, being a researcher or the observer, you are in control of the particular environment or the flow of the experiment. Third one is randomization. You are randomly picking up any particle for identifying the research or identifying the final cause and effect or the the properties. Then cause and effect relationship. So through any experiment, you are creating a cause and based on that cause, you are analyzing the effect. So by doing so, you are combining or locking with the cause and effect relationship. Last is the main thing is any experiment could be replicated. So here replication is the one of the important characteristics of experimental method. So here are certain important concepts. First is independent variable. So the variable that is manipulated or changed. So example here, teaching method. Then dependent variable, the outcome that is measured. So here the dependent variable, student performance. Then third one is control group, group that does not receive the experimental treatment. So here, if we take the teaching methodology, so the teacher is the control group. Then the students is the experimental group, that is the group that receives the treatment. Random assignment. So assigning the participants randomly to control or experimental groups. So we are here gathering the data or assigning some tasks, no? So that is kind of random assignment. Then types of experimental method. So here true experimental, quasi-experimental, pre-experimental, between subjects design, within subjects design. These are the different types of experimental methods. So true experimental means includes random assignment, control group and manipulation. Most rigorous method. Quasi-experimental means lacks random assignment, may use pre-existing groups. Then pre-experimental means no control group or randomization used in pilot studies. Then between subjects design, different groups receiving different treatments. Then so within subjects design, that means same group exposed to all treatments, comparisons made within the group. So these are the different types of experimental method. So the class is over. So these are the bibliographies. That's all. Thank you.